It was an ordinary morning at the bustling city airport, or so everyone thought. Families moved in a blur, the sound of rolling suitcases mixing with boarding announcements echoing across the wide hall. A police officer walked briskly alongside his canine partner, a powerful German shepherd named Rex. They were on routine patrol, trained to sniff out danger in the crowd. But in the middle of that ocean of strangers, something happened that would stop the officer and everyone around in their tracks. Rex's ears twitched, his muscles tensed. Without warning, he slowed down, his nose lifting slightly before locking onto a single figure, a little girl, no more than 5 years old, standing quietly among 3 other children. Her tiny hand was clasped in that of a man who appeared to be her father. But Rex didn't look at the man. His gaze was fixed on the girl, his body lowering slightly as if ready to approach. The officer called Rex back, but the dog refused. Instead, Rex took a deliberate step forward, tail stiff, his eyes unblinking. Something about her, something invisible to human eyes, had caught him. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the loyalty of animals that see beyond what we can, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Positive Tales. Stories like this one remind us how deeply animals understand the truth we sometimes overlook. The officer knelt beside Rex, watching carefully. The girl stood frozen, her head slightly bowed. Around her, the other children shuffled nervously, but she didn't move. Then Rex did something unexpected. He sat down right in front of her and let out a low, gentle whine. It wasn't the sharp bark of warning, it was the sound he made when he found something, or someone, in distress. What no one knew was that this little girl's life had been unraveling in silence for months. Her name was Lily, and behind her quiet demeanor was a storm of fear. She had been taken from her home weeks earlier, snatched from the arms of her mother by someone she barely knew, the man holding her hand now. To strangers, he seemed like a parent. In truth, he was the boyfriend of Lily's estranged aunt, a man with a long history of trouble who had slipped through cracks in the system. Lily hadn't cried in days. Fear had taught her to be still, to speak little, and to wait for moments when she might be found. She didn't know much about police dogs, but she knew something deep in her heart. Animals had always been able to see her, to understand her pain. Rex felt it now. His training told him to identify scents linked to danger or distress, and Lily carried the faint trace of someone flagged in the police database. Her abductor's scent was on her clothes. The officer stood slowly, his instincts sharpening. He began to ask gentle questions, his eyes never leaving the man's face. The man's grip on Lily's hand tightened just enough for Rex to notice, his ears pressing back. The crowd kept moving around them, unaware of the quiet storm brewing in the center of the terminal. And then, the smallest of moments changed everything. Lily's eyes met Rex's. Something broke inside her. The stillness that had been her shield gave way to a trembling whisper, "Help!" The word was barely audible, but Rex reacted instantly, stepping forward and pressing his nose to her arm. The officer's hand moved to his radio. Seconds later, backup officers appeared, surrounding the pair. The man tried to protest, but the evidence and Lily's quiet courage spoke louder than his lies. When Lily was led away from the crowd, she clung not to the officer but to Rex. She buried her small face in his fur, the first tears in weeks soaking into his thick coat. The airport's noise faded behind them. For the first time since she'd been taken, Lily felt safe. She didn't know that Rex had once been a rescue himself, pulled from a shelter before becoming a police dog. Perhaps that's why he recognized her pain so instinctively. He knew what it meant to be lost, and to be found. In the days that followed, Lily was reunited with her mother. Their embrace was the kind that silenced every sound in the room, a raw and aching relief. The officer visited them once, bringing Rex along. The dog, normally stoic, wagged his tail wildly when he saw her. Lily laughed, really laughed, for the first time since her world had fallen apart. She hugged him again, whispering, "Thank you," over and over. Rex went back to work, but his story traveled far beyond the airport. People spoke of the moment he stopped, of how an animal's intuition had saved a child when human eyes saw nothing wrong. And somewhere in those retellings was a reminder the world needs to hear, that compassion, whether from a person or a dog, can change the course of a life forever. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Positive Tales so more people can see the incredible ways animals protect and heal us. Let this be a reminder, sometimes the smallest lives need the loudest voices, and sometimes, those voices come in the form of a bark. Special request, before you go, comment below with the most unforgettable act of kindness you've ever witnessed. Let's fill this space with hope.